From her coronation as the Queen of Coffee and Guava in a regional beauty pageant to her tumultuous marriage to El Chapo Guzmán, Emma Coronel lived in a world where fame, power, and crime took her from fashion runways to the pages of the most sinister headlines. Stay until the end to discover her story. Welcome to Revealing the Mafia Chapter 1. The beginning in California in 1989, Emma was born in Santa Clara, California. Her childhood and adolescence were immersed in the dangerous drug den. Her father, Inés Coronel Barreras, was arrested in April 2013 in Agua Prieta, Sonora, for crimes against public health, production, storage, and transportation of marijuana to Arizona by land. She was the niece of Ignacio Nacho Coronel, one of El Chapo's main partners in the criminal organization until his death in 2010. When he was killed by the army in the state of Jalisco, Chapter 2, The Queen of Coffee. Emma holds dual nationality. She was born in California, making her a U.S. citizen as well as a Mexican citizen. Despite growing up in rural Mexico, her exceptional beauty drew attention from an early age. In 2006, at just 17 years old, she was crowned the Queen of Coffee and Guava in a beauty pageant in Durango. This event marked a turning point in her life, as it was there that her path crossed with that of her future husband, El Chapo, with whom she fell instantly in love. At the celebration party, he approached the 17-year-old girl to dance with her. Chapter 3, The Drug Lord's Wife. El Chapo was 49 years old and the most wanted drug trafficker in the world. Their marriage was finalized a year later when Emma celebrated her 18th birthday in July 2007. Despite the notoriety of being one of Mexico's most famous criminals, it is likely that she was unaware of her husband's activities, which was highly suspicious. At that time, he was not simply a drug trafficker, but had also managed to escape from prison in 2001. According to some reports, during the wedding, they indicate that there was a large security operation. It is worth mentioning that there are still doubts about this marriage, as its legitimacy has been questioned, and to this day, it is not known for sure whether it was fake or not. However, Emma is recognized as his wife. Emma was not El Chapo's first wife, but his third. A book titled Emma and the Other Ladies of Drug Trafficking reveals that in 1977, Joaquín married Alejandrina Salazar, a social worker. Curiously, they never formalized their divorce, which raises doubts about whether Emma had legal status. As El Chapo's wife, Emma claimed that her union with El Chapo was governed by divine law, being the partner of one of the richest men in the world. Chapter 4, Marriage, Escapes, and Trial. Throughout their marriage, Emma never had professional aspirations. She studied communication sciences at the Autonomous University of Sinaloa. Although she never practiced it, she also demonstrated remarkable skills in her interactions with the press. These communication skills and her public presence may have influenced their marriage, which lasted 4 years. In 2011, the couple welcomed 2 twin daughters. Although Emma received medical care in Mexico, she traveled to California to give birth and ensure the girls obtained U.S. citizenship. Curiously, the father's name was suspiciously omitted from the birth certificate, possibly due to the $5 million reward offered for her capture. At that time, it is believed that El Chapo has 15 other children from previous relationships. Although only 10 are officially recognized, in 2014, when the girls were 3 years old, their father was arrested again. Being sent to prison was not a major concern, since this was the second time he had been arrested. His first escape was spectacular, using a laundry cart and bribing virtually the entire prison staff. There is not much information about Emma's involvement in the cartel, but it is a fact that she lent her support when they tried to free El Chapo from prison again. This time, he was being held in a maximum security prison, which made an escape difficult. However, the cameras had unsupervised areas in each cell that coincided with the shower area. Thus, El Chapo managed to escape through an elaborate system of underground tunnels that stretched for more than a mile, finally reaching a property owned by none other than Emma Coronel. This detail further highlights Emma's deep connection to the cartel. Her husband's second escape was short-lived. In 2016, El Chapo was arrested again in a violent operation carried out by Mexican authorities. His previous escape had been via a laundry cart. Bribing virtually the entire prison staff, this motivated authorities to be much more relentless in their search. But the surprise didn't end there. After his capture, El Chapo was extradited to the United States due to the widespread distribution of his narcotics. In that country, he controlled 80% of drug trafficking in Chicago. His extradition took place on January 19, 2017. When the trial began in the United States, Emma Coronel caught everyone's attention. Her beauty didn't go unnoticed by photographers, and she was known for her style when entering and leaving the courtroom. This generated great media interest, and Emma's loyalty to her husband surprised many people. During the trial, she learned of the horrors perpetrated by her husband, including torture and murder, and even learned details about her extramarital relationship with Augustin in Cabanillas. And in addition to drug trafficking, El Chapo was his lover, despite Emma's repeated claims of innocence. The trial presented evidence indicating that she was not completely unrelated to El Chapo's bloodthirsty empire when they argued about his business affairs. It seemed like just another married couple talking about their respective workdays. The text messages between El Chapo and Coronel that were shown during the trial portrayed a married couple, or one, that discussed criminal activities with the same naturalness as a wife who remembers her husband in an even more disturbing way. They joked about how their children could grow up to be like their father. Our Kiki is brave. I'm going to give her an AK-47 so she can be with me. One of the messages read, "Life without El Chapo and with her husband in prison was difficult to predict for Emma. As the saying goes, any publicity is good, and the recognition had turned her into a celebrity. Despite rarely sharing content on social media, she had managed to accumulate a considerable following on Instagram and enjoyed the additional attention with concrete plans in 2019 to launch her own fashion line inspired by El Chapo, which failed for obvious reasons. Although Emma's legal representative said that her client planned to resume some pending projects, such as the clothing brand. Chapter 5 arrest and conviction on February 22, 2021, Emma was arrested at the Virginia International Airport. Initially accused of drug trafficking and possibly linked to the Sinaloa cartel by Damaso Lopez Nunez, alias El Licenciado, she later surrendered to U.S. law enforcement, seeking a deal that would provide her with protection within the witness program in exchange for information about the cartel. In November of the same year, she was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Emma pleaded guilty to a series of charges, including conspiracy and illegal drug trafficking involving cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and even marijuana crossing the U.S. border, as well as money laundering. The court also seized nearly $1.5 million. Although her sentence was initially scheduled to run until 2024, in February 2022, Emma's defense team obtained a reduction from 36 months in prison to 31 months at the time. Puerto Rican lawyer Mario Colon, who also represented El Chapo, indicated that Coronel could be released before that period. She could qualify for a program that applies to inmates who are U.S. citizens. The Federal Bureau of Prisons set a tentative release date of September 13, 2023. Emma is currently in prison. She will be released, but will be under supervision. And she surely had to collaborate with information she knew about her husband's activities. The EFE News Agency also reported that Coronel will now be on parole. During the next 48 months, he must remain within the judicial district assigned to him, notify government agents of any change of address, and look for a job. However, in either case, he couldn't leave his 2 daughters alone since their father was already behind bars. It is known that on August 30, 2023, it was published that Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, imprisoned in the Florence prison, a Colorado prison in the United States, where he is serving a life sentence, sent a new letter and asked the judge to allow him to see his wife, Emma Coronel, and his 2 minor daughters. We have finished this brief story. If you want more content, click the like button, subscribe, and activate the bell. See you in the next video.